The Haworth Soji is 50% less expensive than their flagship chair, the Fern. But is the Soji only half as comfortable? Stick around as I break down each area of the chair and answer the question, is the Soji the best value in office chairs? I'll start with the most important part of a chair, seat comfort. When you're looking in this price range, the expectation shouldn't be that it ranks with the top chairs like the Fern or Leap. But if you can't stand a chair seat for long hours, then nothing else really matters. And the Soji gets my stamp of approval here. The size of the seat and adjustments available make this chair suitable for a wide range of people. The seat is relatively flat with a waterfall front edge. This flatness gives you the impression that it's a larger seat than it really is, in contrast to the Leap seat, which actually has more contour. That's not to say that I like the Soji seat better, but if you're someone who doesn't like the cradled feeling, then this might be a better choice. Going back to the waterfall front edge. Looking at it, you see a sharper edge in the foam, but in actual use, I never feel like there's any extra pressure under my legs. The seat is on the firm side, but don't just assume this is a bad thing. Firm seats can be very comfortable for long periods if you sit ergonomically and take some breaks. It's supportive, and I never felt I was sinking through the foam. I did some sit tests going back and forth between the Fern and the Soji. What I found the biggest difference is that the Fern had more give in the tailbone region, so that made it a little more comfortable. The Fern is 100% more expensive than the Soji, but the Fern seat is not twice as comfortable. Now, looking at some chairs on the other end of the spectrum, you can purchase the Colony Atlas chair for half the price of the Soji. For me, the Atlas seat is only slightly less comfortable than the Soji, but I'll break down this value proposition more as I go through the video. Before I jump into back comfort, I want to share with you the office chair cheat sheet we've created after testing hundreds of chairs. Just click the link in the description. Moving up the chair to back comfort, I found this was my favorite part of the chair. I've gone on record as a big mesh chair fan, loving the Aeron, the Zodi, and the human scale backrests. Important aspects of mesh backrests are always going to be the tightness and quality of the mesh. It's also important to look at how the frame comes into contact with your back, if at all. I'll say that it has a great balance of elasticity and support. I find myself sinking into the mesh the correct amount, keeping it away from being too firm, while also not feeling too loose. When the mesh is too loose, you will inevitably feel the seat frame on your back. The Aeron sits in the former category, being a bit too firm. Haworth's own Very is in the latter category of having too loose mesh. I'm always a little hesitant to give out user height ranges because everyone's body is different. Myself having long legs and a short torso. But at 6'2", the backrest did feel tall enough for me with a couple inches to spare. The width of the backrest is enough for my size, but any wider than me and your back might be hitting the frame if you get off-centered. Something to consider is that even though Haworth lists their warranty as covering up to 325 pounds, it's unlikely that someone with a larger frame will feel comfortable in the chair. The backrest has a built-in lumbar curve, which may be enough for you if you don't feel you need a ton of support in this area. Personally, I like to have a lot of lumbar, so adding this optional height adjustable support for $35 was an easy decision. When I place it low down on my back, I don't feel a ton of extra support. But getting it up into the perfect spot in the curve of my back, it feels great. Looking at my comparison chairs, the Haworth Fern is so highly regarded, mostly because of its backrest. With next level technology and tons of flexibility, the backrest on the Fern is what makes it worth that higher price tag. The Atlas backrest is more similar in style to the Soji, with a built-in lumbar curve, but the Soji's adjustable support system is much better than the Atlas. Putting this into perspective, the Soji's backrest is what you would expect for a chair in this price range. Arm comfort can be a big deal breaker for me. There's a few things to consider when talking about arms: adjustability, arm pad comfort, and build quality. And the Soji gets good grades in all these areas. Starting with adjustability, the included 4-way adjustable arms offer good ranges all around, with depth, width, pivot, and height adjustment. The arms can't match the adjustment ranges of the Fern, especially in the pivot, but the ranges are large enough for me to sit ergonomically. The arm pads have a stylish shape with contoured waterfall type edges. The pads are softer with more give in the center, and they get harder as you get to the edge. This isn't a big problem because you wouldn't typically put a lot of weight on the edges. The center, on the other hand, needs to have enough give for you to push your elbow into it at times. The build quality is solid in all areas of the arm with only a small amount of play. The Fern has a similar amount of play, so there's no knock on the Soji here. And looking at the Colony Atlas, you'll see the arms are very loose and move even when you don't want them to. One issue I do have with the arm setup is how the gap between the arms and the backrest becomes large when you recline in the chair. This is due to the arms being connected down on the mechanism and not attached to the backrest. The arm depth adjustment helps to fill this gap, but in a chair that has few flaws, it's worth pointing this one out. The Soji has an adjustment package rivaling flagship model chairs. It has a great seat height range to fit people in the range of 5'7" up to 6'4". It's not common for me to feel short in a chair, but I can just about dangle my feet from the Soji. The seat depth range is also large enough to easily accommodate for my long legs. When the seat depth is slid all the way outward, the gap between the seat and the back becomes a little large. I could only feel this on my backside when I both slid back on the seat as far as possible and I was reclining. The Synchro Tilt Recline is solid, both smooth and ergonomic. As much as I like it, it's not to the level of the high-end Fern chair. The Soji can either be locked upright or left in the free recline mode with adjustable tension. I don't personally miss having a multi-position tilt lock setting, but it is a notable exclusion that many chairs in this price range will have. For an additional $24, you can add forward tilt functionality. The chair I've been testing didn't have this feature, but considering how straight up the backrest can lock, I didn't feel I was missing anything. The build quality is exactly what you'd expect for this price range. All parts of the chair fit well together with nothing standing out as low quality. The fabric on the seat is a bit unique with more of a wool feeling to it. It falls a little short of the premium fabric on the Fern chair, but it's an appropriate quality for the mid-range chair. The mesh materials follows in this theme. It's a big step up from the Colony Atlas chair, but it's not to the level of the Fern. Aside from a few flashy gaming chairs, Haworth consistently exudes peaceful and natural moods. This can be seen in their natural named color pairings like stone, ocean, clay, and juniper. The style and quality of the materials and color pairings are a big benefit of stepping into this price range. The policies and services you'll get from Haworth when purchasing the Soji are a huge reason to justify the price. First of all, the chair will be delivered fully assembled and ready to use right out of the box. In contrast, the $300 Colony chair will require a small amount of assembly. Once you receive the Soji, you'll have a 30-day period to use the chair and decide if it works for you. If you don't love it, they offer free returns. Finally, the chair is backed by a 12-year warranty covering the major components of the chair. The fact that Haworth backs this chair the same as they would the twice as expensive Fern chair will give you confidence in their product. So is the Soji the best value in office seating? I feel comfortable answering yes. There may not be an area of the Soji I'm super excited about, but the flip side is that there's nothing I dislike about the chair, making it a top choice for this price range. Throw in the great policies and it pushes the Soji up to being a better value than chairs like the Colony Atlas. If you want to speed up your search for the perfect office chair, remember to click the link in our description for your office chair cheat sheet.